Hello, I'm Clint Hickman, currently the chairman of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors. Families are being devastated by the fentanyl crisis. In 2022, Arizona seized more than 28 million fentanyl pills, and that number continues to grow.
I want this county to put a flag in the ground and say, we're not going to do it here. There's going to be severe repercussions if you're going to try to kill our kids.
At my chairman's address at the beginning of the year, I asked several Maricopa County departments and other elected officials to team up to tackle this issue, and that is what we have been doing all year long. The county attorney's office has been prosecuting fentanyl cases and holding in-person roundtable education forums to educate the public on this horrific drug. The sheriff's office has been arresting drug dealers and seizing millions of fentanyl pills. Public health has been funding our drug treatment partners to help people recover from opioid addiction. And our Office of the Medical Examiner has been tracking fentanyl deaths to provide vital data to policymakers and health partners. This resource video is an extension of those efforts, and we hope after seeing it, you'll join us as we work to educate families to prevent these needless deaths.
Knocked on his door and said, Ethan, time to get up, and there was no answer.
When Sherry Dukes went to wake her son up in the morning, she immediately knew something was wrong.
So I said, well, I'm going to come in, knowing my heart was like, something is not right. And I tried to shake him. He didn't move. He was very cold. He was very hard.
Sherry called 911, but it was too late. Her 16-year-old son, Ethan, had died.
They said he was going to be in a body bag, and they would be bringing him down, and that I would probably go to another room. And I said, I brought him into this world. I'm going to be with him when he goes out.
3 months later, Sherry got the toxicology report from her son's death.
It was a low-dose hydrocodone with fentanyl, which is 2 milligrams, which was a lethal dosage, and that's how he died. And so I just kept saying, a pill killed my son. I don't understand.
Sherry believes her son didn't know the hydrocodone was laced with fentanyl.
We had a lot of conversations about substances and making good decisions, but I had not heard at that point in 2019 about fentanyl.
Since Ethan's death, Sherry's been working to educate parents, teachers, and teens on the dangers of fentanyl.
When Ethan died in 2019, 1 of 4 of those pills out there were laced with a lethal dosage of fentanyl. It's a few grains of sugar, that's how much it is. Now, 6 out of 10 of those pills are laced with a deadly dosage.
She just retired as a school administrator and is now providing overdose reversal drug Narcan to the students at her former school district. Anything to prevent one more mother from going through the heartbreak that she's experienced.
I just remember holding his hands and walking to the medical examiner's van, and all I could think about all the time there is I couldn't look at them putting him in the van. All I could see is all the empty slots. And I kept thinking about, by the end of the day, there's going to be more parents doing this exact same thing, and that makes no sense to me.
I am Dr. Jeff Johnston. I'm a forensic pathologist, and I serve as the chief medical examiner for Maricopa County. Historically, methamphetamine has always been the most prominent drug, and that's pretty common in the West. And actually, it's still growing each year. Fentanyl, on the other hand, was exceedingly rare. In 2015, it was about 3% of cases. Since then, it's grown 4,900%. And in 2020, fentanyl overtook methamphetamine as the most common drug we detect. So now it's about 60% of our drug-related deaths involve fentanyl. In the county now, it's 6 deaths a day on average, 365 days a year that are drug-related deaths. And of those, 60%, so 3.6 of them are due to fentanyl. So we've been tracking not only how many deaths in the county are due to drugs, but which drugs in particular. By providing this information to our partners at public health, at law enforcement, policymakers, the hope is that we can design interventions to reduce the suffering and death in our community from this.
I'm Dr. Rebecca Sonnenschein, Medical Director for Maricopa County Department of Public Health. Signs that someone may be experiencing an opioid or a fentanyl overdose include very small or pinpoint pupils, slow, shallow breathing, a loss of consciousness or excessive sleepiness, choking or gurgling sounds, a limp body, or bluish or cold skin and lips. Naloxone, also called Narcan, is a drug that can reverse an opioid or a fentanyl overdose and then restores breathing. If you see someone with signs of an overdose, the first thing you want to do is call 911. Then you want to get your Narcan or your naloxone. Place the nozzle between your two fingers with your thumb on the plunger. Then you want to make sure that the person doesn't wake up. Are you okay? And if they don't wake up, take the nozzle, put it up against their nostril, and push the plunger. Once you do that, you want to roll them into the recovery position. That's rolling them over on their side and placing both hands beneath their head to prop it up, and taking that upper leg and putting it in an L-shaped position. That prevents them from rolling over on their back and potentially choking in case there's vomiting. In case they don't wake up after 2 minutes, you want to deliver a second dose of Narcan into their other nostril. Then you want to wait until help arrives.
My name is Matthew Shay, and I'm a detective with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. I currently work with the Special Investigations Division and with the narcotics section of that under the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Area Squad. As far as fentanyl being found on the street, we are seeing it everywhere, and it has exploded since 2012. Back in 2012, we used to see maybe 10 or 15 pills, and we thought that was a ton. We are recovering 250,000, 500,000, 750,000 pills at a time. It's everywhere. On the street level people, people that work at home, kids going to high school and college. The vast majority of fentanyl is still coming from the drug trafficking organizations that operate south of the border, so the cartels. So fentanyl can be cut with almost anything. Typically, we'll see it in those blue M30 pills here in Arizona, and frighteningly, we're starting to see more and more of them in these fraudulent prescription pills. We've recovered it in everything from marijuana to spice, a lot of times in cocaine, mixed in with heroin. 12 grains of sugar is approximately the amount that a normal adult male would pass out or expire from. So the vast majority of the teens we see that are starting to engage in illicit drug use, including fentanyl, are getting that through social media. It's going to be the blue M or the blue M&M emoji is going to be primary, but now they're starting to use blue Smurf, and Golden Trail is another common one. Arizona enacted a Good Samaritan law. That simply means that if you are suffering from an overdose, you can go and seek medical help and not be concerned that you're going to be prosecuted. If you have encountered somebody that, or were with somebody that's overdosing, even if you are using that illicit drug with them, you can bring them and should bring them to a fire facility. You can call law enforcement, whatever else, and not fear for prosecution.
My name is Ronnie Morales. I have almost 4 years of sobriety, and one day at a time I was able to beat that fentanyl addiction. My introduction to opiates was not planned. I got in a car accident and I was prescribed Percocet for about two months or so, and I had 3rd-degree burns. My back was really messed up, so that's why they prescribed me those pain medications. And then they cut off the prescription, so I went into physical withdrawal. And physical withdrawal is, I like to kind of say it's similar to the flu times a million. Like, it's physically, mentally, and emotionally taxing. So then I started buying pills off the streets, and that eventually I just found fentanyl, which on the streets they're called fake blue M30s. It steals your soul. I've had a lot of low points. I think losing my dream job was one. I think losing my best friend was another one, losing my apartment, losing all my money. But I think it finally clicked for me when my mom caught me stealing from her purse to purchase those drugs. And seeing her cry with me on the table, asking me why I keep doing this to her. I had like a spiritual experience driving home somewhere, and I just spoke to my higher power and just literally took it one day at a time and kept telling myself, I just have to do today. And now I'm on the other side, kind of like providing those sources or experiences so they can find their own way to get out of that hole. I just want to say to whoever is struggling with addiction, just know that you can get out of it. You're worth it. It is completely life-changing, and your past doesn't always have to define you. You can make a new life. It's an evolution where you can have options, so don't give up.
I'm Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell. As you've learned throughout this video, fentanyl is a national public health crisis, and Maricopa County is on the front lines.
All right.
Prosecuting drug dealers who deal in fentanyl is a top priority for me, especially those dealers who push this poison to our kids. Since 2017, the number of fentanyl-related cases has skyrocketed. That year, we had 37 fentanyl-related cases. But in 2022, just 5 years later, we handled 6,629 fentanyl-related cases. And this year, 2023, we are on pace to see an even greater number submitted to my office. I want to be very clear. If you are bringing this poison into Maricopa County to affect the citizens of this county, you will be prosecuted and you will be held accountable. And that includes prison sentences. Our teens who are most affected by this crisis don't know what fentanyl looks like, and they don't know how deadly it can be. Teenagers should be able to learn from their mistakes. They should not have to die from them. Please use the information that you've learned in this video to start a conversation with your loved ones, especially teens and young adults. You owe this conversation to them, and this conversation could save a life.